Hi there. I'm CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Downtown across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. I have decided to come through and walk around uh, the Asian Gardens. It's a community park, and it's very tranquil. I was on my way from the bus station. Uh, they call it Asina Gardens. Here. And these are our park rules. Park is open dawn to dusk except during permitted activities. There's always people down here though. I've been down here in the middle of the night. There's no gates. And pets must be leashed. Is all throughout the city, but sometimes people don't do that. And yeah. But you know what? It's pretty tranquil. There are people that come here that live outside. And at night, they're down here. And they never bother anybody. And they don't want to be bothered. And sometimes you'll see them at this end of the place. And so if I'm walking around at night, I never come on this end and bother them. Because they're trying to sleep. Who wants to be disturbed when they're sleeping? Whether it's inside or outside. But look at these beautiful flowers. And let's see. Some of these have been here long enough that the ground has settled. But they'll come in here and they'll maintain it once in a while. But this kind of stuff, we used to be up, straight up, and But and then there's been a figurine that was up there that was broken. I don't know when that happened. Because I don't always come down here in the daytime. It's usually in the evening or at night. When I'm doing my walk and I go to the river for my health walk at night, sometimes I'll detour and come down here. But it's usually so dark I don't really get to see what too much is going on. But I love these structures, and it's very peaceful to come down here and spend time, just enjoying. And you never know what the day's going to bring. Sometimes I'll find a pleasant conversation, and you never know who you're going to get that from. I love these structures. There's two of them, one here and one here, that kind of, there's a road coming from the back end of the municipal auditorium is right there. I was at that concert the other night. That's that. And so the planters and there's money. Like I said, you never know. There's people that live outside and they'll take little naps, and somebody's over there taking a nap, so I didn't want to walk too close to that and disturb them. But this looks like something somebody's gonna bushwhack if they haven't already. Bushwhack. And that's when you have a bag or something like that and you stash it in the shrubs, and people come along with a stick or something like that and poke the bushes to see if anybody stashed any bags in there, and then they'll rob your bags. There's a lot less of that going on these days than, say, when I was living in New Orleans, and that kind of stuff happened all the time to people living outside down there. Transient people passing through, or people, in a rough situation. But then you'll always see somebody stuffing some clothing or something like that. We've got a homeless problem in this country. Now, I think a big part of it could be resolved if we kind of change the focus to outreach. We have places, we have shelters, we have programs that people can come to. We have, in each of those shelters, you don't just have the shelters. There's a lot of satellite group homes and everything like that, for people who really want to come in and transition from the situation to something new. This is a really interesting. Can you see that? It's kind of like a dog or something, but like a lot of stones, a lot of glass stone. Okay, so my thoughts on this as I'm walking around, because this is just one of the places where you will see people who live outside. Another place is that bridge that I walked over, the Cotton Street Bridge going into Line Avenue. There's a homeless camp where people just kind of makeshifted tents and they kind of live down there. And sometimes if I'm walking, I can see them down there. A little neighborhood of, and it's their community, and it's, what we do in these metro areas is that we have these ways, these means for people who are homeless to become, to transition and to find a home, because contrary, not everybody who's homeless is a criminal running from some past, there's, life can be traumatizing. There's a lot of that. There's, for any kind of reason, sometimes people can get lost. Now, there are people who are just in transient and they're just doing their thing and they're exploring, they're backpacking across. There's always that. There's people who make the choice, an active choice to live outside. But what happens whenever they want to get back inside, Well, we know that there are shelters, and the shelters and the programs and everything, they have rules to be followed. But there is, and I've seen this firsthand, and I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. There is a fair amount of people who are living with and trying to deal with some sort of emotional or mental illness that is, maybe related to a traumatized life, addiction, chemical imbalance, or a combination of. And they find there's this cycle that's really, really hard to break out of. And you maybe can get into a place temporarily, but then you find reintegrating with a group of people very difficult, right? And it's not been a temporary situation. Maybe it's been a long-standing thing that people have been outside, or people who have been in that situation, and so now they're in this situation where they're expected to conduct themselves in a way that they're not used to doing. It's the same thing as people who have been incarcerated for a very long time, and they are being reintroduced to society and turned loose without any sort of transitional aftercare, or not sufficient enough. Well, with this situation, what I'm talking about, there's a lot of people, and it's when you're out here, you're moving. You stay moving. You stay moving because it's safer than staying in one spot sometimes. And what happens is you get lost in all that transiency, and you don't take care of your physical health, and you certainly don't take care of your mental health if you have those conditions. And we have a ministry, like the Hub Ministries or whatever, and they have a part of that is the St. Luke's van that'll go around and give like a triage kind of care. They'll let you come in, maybe if you need a quick look over, you need a patch or band-aid or something like that. Maybe they can give you a referral or something, but it's in a traveling van on wheels. There's very little they can do besides monitor your vitals, and then if there's an immediate emergency, maybe they can call someone to get you to emergency care or something. But there's very little they can do as far as like actual maintaining of healthcare. So it's more let's take care of the immediate kind of stuff. Well, you know, I think what needs to happen, because we do have a lot of pathways that can change, that can answer the response. We're working on more affordable housing. I am blessed. I feel very fortunate to be in affordable housing. Now, I'm going to tell you something about affordable housing. What I pay in my affordable housing apartment is not much less than what other people pay to live in their market rate. So affordable housing, it's great, but in Shreveport, it's affordable housing. The margin, it's marginal. It's marginal. You know, I'm not complaining, and I'm not saying that I'm not grateful for it, and yeah, my the rent on my apartment is going up substantially. It's going up by over $250, and that's in 1 month. Now that is affordable housing, so it's tough. So there's a lot of people who could make use of a lot of help that's out there, but don't know how to do it. And you have to find case management to help you. Case management is typically limited to a speciality, such as if you're struggling with food insecurity, you can get someone to work with your SNAP benefit, right? So that you can get your food stamps. The same person who works that does not deal with someone who needs housing, or someone who needs medical care, physical medical care, or who needs psychiatric care, really, to help to get the, and you can't, we don't live in a society where we come out and we force people to take their medicine. I think a lot more people probably would address those issues if we did a lot more community outreach. We know in our metro areas, New York, Miami, Dallas, Houston, any place, Shreveport, we know where the at-risk people are, the people who are living these tough existences. We know where they are. What would be so horrifically wrong with some case managers just popping in every once in a while? Hey, we know you're here, broad daylight of what we know you're here, and we just want to let you know these are the things that we can help with, and not just, oh, by the way, when you come see us, we're going to give you a referral to go track all these places down. No, we need the type of outreach where a person can go out and make a contact with someone who's in need, and that person can work with them and make the calls with them, and say, yes, this is something that's needed. We need we need this kind of thing. And we need our outreach people, if we can get them, we need them to fully understand that what's out there. We get all the time from the federal government or from privatized. That's one of the reasons why churches are, separation of church and state here in this country. But one of the reasons why we don't tax churches is because of their charitable works. Well, if the charitable works are limited to a quick fix, a band-aid or whatever, then there's no real getting people out of their despair. It's okay. You go in to a church and you say, okay, I'm hungry, I need food, so they'll give you like a bag of food. That is great for right now, but it doesn't do anything to fix the underlying problem. And when you're in a situation where you're transient living outside, homeless, let's just call it what it is, for whatever reason, especially chronically homeless, um, then what happens is you get lost. There's not anyone who really follows through, and what an outreach person in the community could do, and I mean more than one, if they're knowledgeable. I'm talking too much. I need to get inside and hydrate. I'm gonna pause the video till I get in the apartment. No, I'll continue. I think I'm okay. I just had to catch my breath, talking too much, getting so worked up. Okay, what outreach workers can do is they can be educated across all the help. Where are we? Yeah, that's me. Okay. I was like, am I looking at a reflection, or am I looking on the screen, or am I actually, recording myself? So anyway, what a person who's knowledgeable can do as an outreach person in the community really can be, they can help with a broad spectrum of circumstances, because most people who live out here, they're not just dealing with one circumstance, and maybe not everybody's gonna want that help, but I bet if we really could go out and reach the people who would, I bet we'd find people. Hey, you know what? We can help you. We can provide this. We are here. We're not here to find anybody for the police. We're here to do anything. We are here because we have these means to help get you off the street. We have the money, we have the funding, we have the grants and everything like that, and yeah. There are some people who are going to be locked in and determined in their life that they're not ready to make a change. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't go out and we shouldn't offer talk therapy right in those camps, those communities of homeless people. And it can be done in the safety of broad daylight and without judgment. And we live in a nation where we do have the means. We live in a first world country, prime. But so many people are falling through the cracks simply for lack of hope. Now, this is not a judgment against people who make a choice to live outside and they want to do that. They want to live that life. That's okay. That's on them. Whatever. No hate. Most people, I think, would want an opportunity and knowledge on how to take advantage of those opportunities. Then, of course, and I'm back home in the apartment now. Then, of course, there are the people who are who deal with those mental illnesses that kind of separate them from processing reality as the rest of us know it. Delusions, schizophrenia, that type of thing. Extreme mood disorders, chemical imbalances, traumas of life or whatever, medication and therapy needed. And if they can't find their way to a clinic that specializes in workers who specialize with that kind of stuff, they're not going to get the help that they need. And even then, you know, you have to realize that when you try to do this with someone and they're in that moment not receiving of that help, at least you can let them know what needs to happen. We need consistency also in our help for the homeless and the indigent, and a lot of that changes every couple of years. Whatever is out there, the pathway to help may change, you know. And so you know, community programs arise and they do good for maybe a year or so, whatever, and then that changes and that's no longer something that happens. And so consistency is great. So yeah. But not everybody who lives outside is a dangerous person hiding a seedy past or something like that. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff I used to hear growing up, but it's not like that. Oh, let me get my drink. Now, while there are some specialists that work in these fields, in the programs, there's not like a lot of outreach going on. But I don't want to discount the work that they do. But most of that work in the ministries that I've seen across this country, and even in foreign countries on missionary field trips and other, you know, it's almost done by volunteers, you know, or people participating in a temporary ministry or something like that, you know, overseas or whatever. But you know, we have those needs right here, you know. So, and it shouldn't have to be just on the churches, you know. I feel like as a nation, we have a responsibility to our residents, citizen and non-citizen alike. Now, I don't want to help people who are like criminal. I don't want to help them remain criminal, but I would like to offer them a path to cease their criminality. So if they're here illegally, let's find them and let's find out why they're here. Let's not just round them up and put them in some sort of camp to be processed and shipped. Well, let's find out what's going on. Why are they here? What do they have to offer? What do they have to offer? You know, we are also on the verge of a radical change. And I think in about 20 or 30 years, almost all manual labor is going to be done by machines, robots and machines, that were probably built by other machines that were built by machines that we have today. Cars, for instance, are machines, and they are in factories being built today by machines, maybe touched up and fine-tuned and supervised by human employees and everything. But you know, this kind of shift is already happening, and we don't have to. You know, we're getting into a place where people need shelter, people need food, they need access to clothing, and we don't need to judge how they live their lives, you know. And we need to offer community support. I'm not saying become a communist country where, everybody's dirt poor or whatever. I'm not wealthy. I am considered, by most standards, poor. um, but I'm single, so I'm not trying to raise a family. So I'm in my 50s, right? So I manage and I do okay. Uh, I wouldn't try to raise a family on what I'm doing, but whatever. I get to go to shows when I want to go to shows, and I don't drink alcohol, so that saves money there. And if I want to save up money and go on a vacation, and I may have to save up a year, or half a year or something like that, but whatever, I get to go visit a friend that lives in another state every once in a while or something. But I I went through a period in my life as a younger adult where I was not a stable person, and I didn't have a tremendous amount of just daily life skills, like, so something that can happen with community outreach is that we can provide some of that. If we can't, if Muhammad will not come to the mountain, sometimes the mountain needs to go to Muhammad, right? That old proverbial situation. Maybe it applies here. What do you guys think? What are some situations that you think you can do, or ideas that you have, that we can address some of the most vulnerable in our society, in this country? Yeah. I'm not saying not care and not neglect other countries, but these are some problems and situations that we see right in our own community. And we yeah, sometimes can get into some situation or something where we think that, oh gee, this is the way to live life, whatever. And maybe it's not. Because I've been there. I've been that person that's been outside and thinking, okay, well, but there's a path. The main thing, if you're out there and you're wanting to change, the main thing is to stop moving around. Find some place and get situated, get still, get someplace. And then, because it is something, you're going to have to knock on some doors. You're going to have to go to some of your local community places, and you're going to have to let them know, hey, I'm here and I want a path. And then there's going to be a lot of trials. There's going to be a lot of things. If you're living in an addictive situation, that's something that's probably going to have to be addressed and dealt with. But then again, there are programs like Easter Seals that work with, and of course, they may allow you to imbibe in your privacy, in your private quarters or whatever, if they're helping you get off the street and everything like that, provided there is no illegal drugs or whatever. I don't think that they look down on a glass of wine here or there or whatever. I don't know, but that's been my understanding. The local Easter Seals, they don't ban alcohol in their premises. But I could be wrong on that, or maybe that's something that's been amended or whatever. They do largely do with a lot of their. We have military veterans who are homeless, and we have a vast resources to help them. But it is a matter of getting someplace and then being complicit with the rules, even if you think some of the rules are bullshit, because you go through this so that you can get a place of your own, and then you can set your own rules. And if you want to, like I do, go walking around at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you can do that, but it takes a lot of waiting sometimes, because there are a lot of people, and getting someplace and getting situated and staying consistent with the help, because there are waiting lists, but then there's also, we want to see these programs, or sometimes we want to see if you're going to come in and we're going to get you situated, and then if you're going to peace out in like 2 or 3 weeks, then the effort was basically wasted. So we want people who are working with homelessness to try to resolve homelessness on an individual basis. They want to work with individuals who, when they get them someplace inside and get them safe and everything, that they're going to be able to maintain. So that's something else. The aftercare is sadly lacking in a lot of that, in a lot of those situations. But yeah, I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your thoughts. In the meantime, if you encounter somebody outside, and they ask you for a cigarette, you can politely tell them no. If they ask you for money and you don't want to give them money, you can politely tell them no, or just walk on by or something like that. But there's no reason to denigrate them, to put them down, to just trash them out. There's no reason to dehumanize anybody ever, because their situation is different than mine or yours. I'm glad I took that walk, because I went to a whole peaceful thing, but then I saw all sorts of evidence of we do have something that's a little bit more important to talk about in this particular video, other than just looking at interesting Asian-inspired statues. No, we need to maybe talk about something, that we can all come together and kind of think of, and that's be a little bit more kinder to our fellows that are living outside, and maybe think about policies that can help us create outreach, just to educate people on what resources are available in the communities that they're already living in anyway. Anyway, love and light, peace, good night.